All right, what's up everybody? How we doing today? Give this video a like if you can see me, if you can hear me, if I'm coming in loud and clear. Give this video a like. We'll get going here in a minute. So if you're watching this live, I'm gonna be talking today about how and explain how you've been programmed since birth, what you can do about it, and why it's so important right now to understand this with so many things going on in the world. So if you want to create your own reality or change the world, this is the most important thing to understand. So I outlined 5 notes. I thought since it's Friday, I'll just do a live stream instead. So give this video a like, whether you are live or not live. Leave a comment down below. Let me know where in the world you are coming from. Kujaman said, howdy pilgrims. Give a comment, one thing you are grateful for and where in the world you're coming from. One thing you are grateful for and where in the world you're coming from. Christina Boss is in the UK. Dena's in LA. We've got Dara's in Florida. We got Glow Getter, nice name, is in India. I like that. We got downtown Baton Rouge. We got Ashley Johnson. We got Veronica, Chris, Terry. That's my mom's name. Trina. Truth Be Told is in Portland, Oregon. Christina, thank you so much for your kind words. We got Erica, we got Poetic Flow, we got Ernest. All right, cool, awesome. So leave a comment in, whether you are live or not live, please, even if you're watching on the recorded, leave a comment with where you're coming from in the world and maybe one thing that you're grateful for. And make sure you like this video. It will be an indication of whether I should keep making these live ones or not, just to see, hey, do people like these more or less than the normal videos? So we got Christina, we got Jim Bob, we got Tarish, we got Superd, we got Steven, we've got Stephanie, we've got Troy, we've got Dara. What's up everybody? So, all right. We'll get going here in a second. I got 5 main big ideas to talk about to explain how you've been programmed since birth, what you can do about it, why this is so important right now if you want to create your own reality and you want to maybe even make the world a better place. But definitely if you want to create your own reality, improve your finances, your health, your confidence, the people you're attracting into your life, your overall success, this is very important. Cool. So give this video a like. All right, we have 2 minutes in, probably enough time where people have rolled in. So let's start here with point number 1 that I wrote down. I said, brain plasticity begins in the womb. Children often stop crying to common songs and sounds heard in the womb. I see firsthand our baby responds to sounds. Therefore, plasticity begins in the womb. So first, let's discuss what is plasticity. So plasticity, we found neuroplasticity, neuro meaning brain, and plasticity meaning it's malleable, meaning it's changeable. So it's basically what this says, getting away from all the jargon, is neuroplasticity means your brain is changeable brain. So the plasticity of the brain begins in the womb. And I'm reading all these books now on the brain development of baby and all these interesting things. And there's so many fascinating things where they've done studies where they played same types of songs for mothers in the womb for the baby. And then when the baby got older and it was out of the womb and it was birthed, they'd play those songs and the baby would stop crying. And so the baby develops memories and the baby develops subconscious programming and neural connections when it's actually in the womb. So think about yourself, think about you. This is very fascinating. So then it's like, well, what was going on in the womb when I was being born? Were your parents struggling financially? Was it a crazy time in the world? Were your parents arguing? Did your parents end up divorcing? Were they arguing? Was there a lot of stress? Were they unhealthy? Whatever was going on in their life, whatever their deal was, it actually encoded into your brain. And that starts very early on. You start to develop most of the neurons and neural networks that a baby develops, that a young person develops, most of them are formed. Most of the nerves are created in the first couple years of life. Now, this is incredibly important to understand because it leads into step number 2, which I said the first 6 years of a life, a child is basically in a hypnotic brainwave state. So they've through an EKG, which studies the electrical waves of the brain waves that a person has, they found that a baby is more or less in a young toddler is more or less in a brainwave state that is similar to hypnosis. This is fascinating because what this is saying is basically the baby is a giant, or the toddler is a giant open cup, and it's just receiving all the information of everything going on around it. So it's programmed by with relation to money, with love, with relationships, with health, with confidence, with overall emotional state. What's up, Mark Thompson? I love your quote. And it's programmed with all these things. Now, so in essence, what's important to understand is we inherit the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And unfortunately for most of us, it's more of the latter parts, the bad and the ugly. Because think about this. And don't worry, there's no reason to get afraid because I'm going to explain to you how to reprogram it. And I'm going to explain the advances that we now know from psychology and neuroscience, how you can literally turn your brain into the most powerful supercomputer in the world. And I'm going to share with you exactly what you can do to reprogram it and rewire it. But first, so step number one to understand is that the programming of a baby, the brain, the mind, begins in the womb. Second step is a baby's brain is akin to hypnosis up until the ages of 6. So you up until that age, you were just like an open cup, receiving everything. What's up, English? What's up, Christina? Receiving everything going on, right? And then step number 3 or idea number 3 is the good, the bad, and the ugly. So think about this. 9 out of 10 people die with less than $10,000 and virtually no financial assets. Hi, Michelle. So 9 out of 10 people die with less than $10,000 and virtually no financial assets. On top of that, they say that 78% of people are actively disengaged from their jobs. 50%, I think at least, marriages end in divorce. There's all kinds of people that believe love is pain and there's no such thing as true love. We're at a record high of depression, of stress-induced illness. So my point is, you look around at the collective, and what you see is there's a lot of people making nowhere near the amount of money that they want. There's a lot of people that are nowhere near as happy as they want to be. There's a lot of people that haven't been able to create fulfilling relationships romantically throughout their life and also friendships. So you look around and you go, that's the majority. That's the status quo of our world. Well, we are raised by status quo. Not only our parents or our guardians, but all the influences that we have around in society in the early years of our life. Teachers, media, music, videos online, other friends' parents. All of these things infiltrate into our subconscious and they set up our neural networks. The actual way your brain is programmed to perceive, operate, and create reality. Now, if you're just joining me, make sure you hit the like button on this and leave a comment down below of one thing that you love or are grateful for about life and where in the world you're coming from. So here's a question to ask yourself. What are some of the bad or ugly things you might have inherited from adults or society around you? Did you believe that money is the root of all evil? Did you believe that because you were a Smith or whatever your last name was, you guys are just bad public speakers, or you guys aren't able to hold relationships or love? Did you believe love is pain? Did you believe that there's no good guys out there because your mother was left at a young age? Do you believe that there's no great women out there? What were the beliefs that were, maybe if you don't even consciously believe it, but think about what some of those beliefs are that were programmed into your subconscious. Did you believe that you weren't very smart because in school you never got good grades and you associated the level of your intelligence with your GPA? And you never did very good in school, so you assumed you couldn't be successful because low grades equals low intelligence and therefore low potential. So I want you to think about one of those things right now. So I want this video where you leave with a new sense of clarity and understanding of at least one thing that you can start to now be aware of, and we'll talk about how to reprogram it. What's up, Zara? What's up, Brooke? How's everybody doing today? We got a SPD Adventurer. So this is what's very fascinating. Now, these are things, a lot of them, that we've inherited from the world. I'll tell you what some of mine were that I didn't really realize until I was 19, 20 years old. I dropped out of college, backpacked around the world, wrote my first book, and started my career. The first one was I thought I was too young to be successful. That's one I inherited from society. The second one I inherited was I thought that if I made money about something that I cared about, something that I loved, I was somehow a bad person. Like, you're only supposed to make money at things you don't like or something. And the programming system of that was set up where no matter how hard I tried, no matter how much I was working, no matter how much I was pushing forward on my books, selling them, building my brand, I wasn't able to really get ahead because I had this, it's almost like a governor on a car. Like I have a fast sports car, but it has a governor on it and it only goes so fast. Our unconscious beliefs have wired into our brain and our subconscious, and they are like a governor. So consciously you watch my videos and you go, this is amazing. I'm so inspired. I'm going to go out and I'm going to make more money. I'm going to get my health better. I'm going to attract all these amazing people. I'm going to change the world. I'm going to improve this. I'm going to do this. I'm inspired for this. That's your conscious mind. But then subconsciously your governor is set. So conscious mind up here only is responsible for 5% of your life. That's what we know from psychologists and from neuroscience. 5% of your life. And that's you that says, oh my God, this is amazing. Then your subconscious, the way your brain is programmed, that's responsible for 95% of your life. So if deep down you were programmed to think that you weren't enough, you weren't good enough, you weren't smart enough, you weren't good with numbers, therefore you can't make money. You were waiting for someone else to take care of you financially. You thought love was pain. You thought you weren't good enough or smart enough to change the world. You were programmed to believe that money is the root of all evil, or you're somehow a sinner and therefore you're a bad person and unworthy of what you want. Even though you may have grown up consciously, if this doesn't change, then you always sputter around back in circles. Now, the fourth thing that I want to talk about is a phrase that I'm sure you've heard before, and comment, yes, I've heard this phrase if you have, or hit the like button, and it's, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. No, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So we used to think, and a lot of us still do, the paradigm hasn't shifted, even though the science and psychology has shifted. The paradigm still believes you can't teach an old dog new tricks. We used to believe that by the time you're 18 years old, you're pretty much set in stone. Your psychology, your neurochemistry, it's all pretty much set in stone. And then you're going to spend the rest of your life basically like a robot playing out those programs. And that's just how we thought it was. You're stuck the way you inherit this from mom and dad and society and brother and sister and guardian and whoever raised you and the society at large and your friends. And this is who you are. And we used to think that. It's totally untrue. 100 million% untrue. We now know through the latest advances in neuroscience that your brain is totally malleable and changeable. Malleable and changeable. And this is why I always talk about how feeling is the secret to changing your life. Because you can consciously say, I want to make more money. I want to be happier. I want to attract love. I'm doing my affirmations. Money's coming. Love's coming. Success is coming. I'm going to change the world. But if your emotions don't change, then it's just a conscious effort that doesn't do anything. For the subconscious to change and the brain to start getting reprogrammed, we have to activate something called Hebb's Law. H-E-B-B-S. 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 H-E. So it's called Hebb's Law. And that's a term in neuroscience that says that nerve cells that fire together wire together. Well, what the heck's a nerve cell? Basically, it's just these little things that fire in your brain, and they build your neural connections. Kind of like when you go out into an old forest and there's all the trees everywhere. Well, the craziest thing about all that, is the root systems, right? All these little trees, but then you find out that these roots have all grown, all interconnected for thousands or hundreds of years or millions of years together, all underground. That's kind of like your neural networks. It's all these crazy blended together, neural networks that form how your supercomputer creates reality. It's basically like the software that's been programmed into your supercomputer, and that's how you process, project, and create reality from your software, from the programs you've installed or have been installed into your brain. Well, the craziest thing is, just like a computer, I can go over to my computer and I can delete old apps and I can upgrade my software and make my computer work better. You can delete old apps, you can delete old ideas, and you can delete the old software in your brain and update it to better software. And this is Hebb's law. Nerve cells that fire together, wire together. Once you have emotional responses to things, whether they're real or not real, your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not real. So you can get so excited about a future that doesn't yet exist. You can get so excited about a visualization. Like what I did is I got so excited about inspiring millions of people and being a best-selling author, having my books translated into other countries, reaching millions of people, speaking all over the world. When I was 19 years old, and I didn't have any of that, and I was a college dropout, and I thought I was too young, and everybody said it wouldn't work, and all the publishers said no. But I got so excited and inspired about a future that I activated new emotions. I felt like it was happening, even though it clearly wasn't happening in my outside world. But that's what started to change my brain. That's what started to change my subconscious. I activated new nerve cells. So my consciousness, I use my consciousness to start to change my emotions. My emotions started to signal new nerve cells, and that built new connections. So I literally rewired my brain to believe that I was somebody and I had a life that I didn't yet have in the outside environment. That's why I always say lack of evidence is not evidence of lack. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. Lack of evidence is not evidence of lack. So just because something hasn't come into your life yet, just because it hasn't happened yet, it doesn't mean that it's not on the way. It just might mean that it's at a vibratory frequency beyond the visible light that you've been conditioned to perceive based off of how your brain has been programmed your whole life about what you believe is possible and impossible and what you believe you're capable of. That's all it is. And if you can upgrade the software, you can change your life. And that's why I always talk about the second mind. So once I learned all this, I took it super uber duper duper seriously, and I started to basically take it to the extreme. And I had read an unclassified CIA document about how the CIA was reprogramming and trying to take steps to change brainwave patterns. And so I coined it the first mind and the second mind. I called the first mind the conditioned mind by society. So you guys remember how earlier I said, think about all the ways you've been programmed, right? Think about all the ways you've been programmed by society. Maybe think of the top limiting beliefs you've inherited, your old story about yourself. That's your first mind. All of that, all of your limitations, all of your past, everything you thought it was who you were, it's an illusion. It's your first mind. The reason it feels so real is because it's been programmed into our brain, and so we get sensory feedback from it. When it's programmed into your brain, you activate your nerve cells with emotions. So you're shooting all this chemistry, all these chemicals into your brain through your nervous system instantly with electrical impulses that are emotions, energy in motion. And so it feels real. It feels like I'm not confident. It feels like I'm not good enough. It feels like it's hard to make money. It becomes to feel real. But it's an illusion, and I call that your first mind. The first step to be free from the way that you've been programmed by society since birth is to recognize that the programming isn't you to begin with. All the thoughts in your head aren't you. A lot of them are just a record player that's been installed in your head and it repeats over and over. Like if I was playing music in my house and the words were coming out, I know that those words aren't me. They're a record player that are playing, right? That's what it is. So I'm able to differentiate between that voice and my own identity. In order to free yourself from old programming, it's the same analogy. You have to be able to free yourself or identify the limitations that are programmed into you that have been going on for so long that we think it's us because we believe everything that's happening in our head, and we believe all these subsequent emotions that arise from our thoughts, perceptions, and our conditioned personality patterns. That's your first mind. Does that make sense to everyone? First mind. So if you're with me, make sure you hit the like button. Hey Fred, how are you doing today? Is everyone enjoying this? Is everyone still with me? So if you're still with me and you're enjoying this, so does that make sense? Is this important? I wanted to make sure that this is like you leave today and you're like, wow, that was like the best one of Jake's videos I listened to because it was so applicable and I was able to apply it. So I'm hoping that will happen. So that's the first mind. Now you can just do simple steps and you can recognize like when you go into like a stress-based pattern or an old programming, or you get worried about this or that or whatever it is that comes up in your life, you can go, oh, that's my first mind. Before you get sucked down the emotional rabbit hole and 60 minutes passed and now you're having a bad day and your mood's ruined and you've been controlled by these thoughts in your head and these subsequent emotional patterns and perceptions. You can catch it before and go, that's just my first mind. That's just my first mind. It's just a program. And then think of it just like a computer. Look, if I want to make this computer work better, or if I was a super bad ASS coder, if I was a really good coder, I could take a computer with nothing on it and I could write all the code to it, right? And I could make the software perform fantastically. Think of your brain like the same way. Your mind is the most powerful supercomputer in the cosmos, but it depends how you write the software, and it depends if you're able to identify the viruses that have been put in. The viruses are your first mind. They're the condition-limiting belief systems. They're the part of yourself that believe all of that, right? Everyone understand? I like to break it down like that. And this was how I came to these conclusions and discoveries for myself. Then I said, okay, the second mind is the one when you become to this new level of awareness and you recognize that through neuroplasticity, you can reprogram, rewire, and change your brain. That's why I talk about hypnosis. That's why I always say brainwash yourself before the world brainwashes you. Because if you don't do it, by default, somebody or something else will program you. It can't be two ways. Either you've consciously programmed yourself, or you've been programmed by society, other people, or you're letting your first mind play out over and over and over again for the rest of your life. So once I learned all this and I started getting really advanced into it, I eventually created what I now call the second mind neuroprogrammer. And what this encompasses is the second mind is a clean slate. Using all of these things we talk about on this channel, using meditation, and specifically the second mind neuroprogrammer, which I created to add and engage all of your senses. Because the thing is, the goal here is to get the brain to think something's happening. The way to get the brain to think something's happening, so you fire and wire new nerve cells, you reprogram your subconscious, you change your vibration, you change your brain and your mind, is to get your brain to think something's happening, which is to stimulate and rewire your nervous system. So I developed the second mind neuroprogrammer to engage through brainwave states, through all of your different senses. Basically, I put together a technology piece to do this process, to take advantage of neuroplasticity. And I started using it for myself, firstly, and I changed my life forever. First clue was I felt different. A lot of people say, how do I know if it's working? It's when you start to feel different. Even if your outside environment hasn't changed, you feel different. Because remember, feeling is emotion. Emotion is energy in motion. Emotions are what fire and wire new nerve cells, and that's how the game changes. So for anyone that wants to use the Second Mind Neuroprogrammer, I have a free demo. It's thesecondmind.com. I don't even know how I would make a comment right now, but if anybody wants to comment it, it's thesecondmind.com right now. And on the replay, I'll pin it to the comments. And I have a free demo for it. But basically what I started doing is daily. Here's the important thing to understand. To reprogram, you can reprogram and rewire your mind and your life. But the first thing to understand is repetition. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Second is emotion. Emotion, emotion, emotion. And if you can do that, you can insert new ideas into your mind. So I inserted into my mind, instead of I'm too young, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. I had ADD and ADHD in high school, and I was prescribed with like Adderall, and I thought it was stupid. So I had to erase all of that software, and I had to erase those viruses and put new software in my supercomputer. So I put into my supercomputer, I'm a genius, I apply my wisdom. I'm a author, speaker, online personality, inspiring millions of people with a business that's uplifting consciousness of the world. I started putting those types of things in my mind. And slowly but surely, by the time I was 28 years old, now all of these amazing things have happened in my life. And they've happened because I've deliberately reprogrammed my mind. So, let's see. So, I have an interview with Dr. Stephen Greer that I'm going to be posting here in a little bit. So I can't stay on forever, but I want to end with start to take some deep breaths. And every time you catch yourself going back into the pattern and say, oh, that's my first mind, that's my first mind, realize you are not stuck with anything in your life. You're not stuck with your bank account. You're not stuck with how much money you make. You're not stuck with your success or lack thereof. You're not stuck with your lack of confidence. You're not stuck with not being able to find your soulmate. If you want to change those things, you can do it. But it starts with feeding this different stuff. It starts with retraining and rewiring your mind, your brain, and your life will change forever. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you have some tactful tools that you can start to apply. I hope it's made you think about some of the unconscious belief systems and perceptions and assumptions about yourself and reality that you might have been holding. If you want to take it to the next level, use the Second Mind Neuroprogrammer. I have a free demo for everybody, and it's the Second Mind, THE, Second Mind spelled out, .com. And once I end this live, I'll pin the comment right there. That's thesecondmind.com, and it's my neuroprogrammer I created to take advantage of all these things to start retraining and rewiring the mind. I'm wishing everybody an absolutely fantastic day. If you are still here, comment down below, step into your second mind. Comment down below, step into your second mind. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button on it, because I might make more of these, and I'd love to see if people enjoy them. So if you hit the like button and you leave any type of a comment, I can kind of judge the engagement to see if these are worthwhile doing. So thank you very much for joining, sending you love and light. Appreciate you being a part of the community. And make sure you check out thesecondmind.com right there down below for a free demo. And yeah, watch the amazing things that unfold in your life when you finally start to erase the viruses in your supercomputer and you reprogram your software to the truly unlimited being that you are. That's when amazing things start to happen. So have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.